Good morning, Prairie View Christian Church. Today is Friday, December 18th, and we have some exciting news to share with our church family. As we said earlier in the week, we had an elders meeting last night, and one of the many things that we talked about were our plans for Sunday morning, December 20th, Thursday evening, December 24th, our Christmas Eve service, and Sunday morning, December 27th. Like we said all along the past few weeks, we've been taking this 2 weeks at a time, and so we started thinking last night about what we're going to do for the next 2 weeks. And to be totally honest with you, I think we were all a little bit surprised when we came to the conclusion that this Sunday, December 20th, and the following Sunday, December 27th, and Christmas Eve, right in between those 2 days, we are going to have in-person services here at Prairie View. Now, it's important to note a few things. Number one, we're going to do it with the precautions that we had in place back in June through November. So we're going to return to our way of doing things with name tags on seats, social distancing, masks, the kids coming up for a short lesson, the little cups of communion with that excellent bread that we all like so much. We're going to return to that way of doing things for these next 2 Sundays, December 20th and 27th. On top of that, as far as the 24th goes, we are going to be doing something very similar here in the room. We are going to have an indoor Christmas Eve service on the evening of the 24th at 5 p.m. Now, with all these precautions in place, we've gotten used to Sunday mornings, what that kind of looks like, but we are not used to doing a Christmas Eve service under these precautions because we've never done it before. So just to give you a brief idea of what Christmas Eve will look like, much of it will mirror Sunday mornings. We will do the name tags on chairs, we will do the social distancing, we will do the masks, all those types of things. We will find ways to do our Christmas Eve service in a way that's unique from Sunday morning, in line with what we typically do every year, but also mindful of the precautions that we need to take into consideration in this unique year of 2020. So for example, unique features of the Christmas Eve service, of course, we think of holding candles and singing Silent Night. We are going to do that, but we're going to do it in a very different way. We're not going to pass out candles the way we typically do. We're not going to stand in a circle and sing Silent Night. The way we will do this is that we will encourage you to bring your own source of light. And that needs to not be open flame. Because, based on what we know about the coronavirus, it's probably not a good idea to have a bunch of people in a closed area blowing out candles and getting all their droplets all over the place. So we talked about things like battery-operated candles. If you have one at home, you can bring it. We talked about cell phone lights. If you want to use one of those, you can do that. Normally, the suggestion that we're not going to use real, legitimate, open flame candles would cause me to be very, very angry. However, this is a very different year. We want to have light and darkness, which is really what the candles are all about, not the candles themselves. But we want to do it in a way that makes sense and is safe. So we will have light and darkness, whether it's battery-operated candles that you bring from home or whether it's a light on your cell phone, whatever it is that you feel makes the most sense. And we will sing Silent Night, even though we won't be gathered around the room in a circle the way we normally are. We'll just keep each other at our chairs. So that's the 20th and the 27th. We'll be going back to doing Sunday mornings like we did June through November. And then the 24th, while it will look different, it will be a unique Christmas Eve service. As close as we can get it to what we would normally do while still operating within the precautions that we need to have in place. So that's the big announcement. We are excited about that. Honestly, I did not go into last night's elders meeting expecting to come to that conclusion. Now we got to get the place cleaned up before Sunday morning. But we are excited about the thought of having people here in the room worshiping on the 20th and the 24th and the 27th. Now, a few quick comments about how we came to that conclusion and a few disclaimers of sorts as you consider whether or not you're going to be here. First of all, we've said for the past few weeks that our main focus, our main rationale behind going all virtual for the past 4 Sundays is, number one, the coronavirus numbers, number two, the requests of the civil authorities, and number three, our ability to do ministry through our virtual format. Now, 2 of those 3 things have changed substantially in terms of our decision making. Number one, while the coronavirus numbers are still not great, they are better now than they were 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. The way we are kind of interpreting those numbers is that we have a brief window of time where we're far enough away from Thanksgiving, but we haven't hit any new surge due to Christmas yet, to where we have an opening to worship in person in the room safely for at least these 3 services, the 20th, the 24th, and the 27th. So while numbers still are not great, we've got a little peak of sunshine through the clouds that we want to take full advantage of. And that means that we can worship in person for these next 3 services. The other rationale that has somewhat changed in our minds is that while we understand that we can still do some good ministry through our virtual format, we believe that God can work through that, even if it's less than ideal, we also recognize that it's not the same. We've said all along that online church is not really church. As we talked about this past Sunday, the church is God's gathered and assembled people. And so it's hard to really replicate that just through a screen. So while we value the ministry that we can do, that God has enabled us to do through virtual means, we also recognize that people need to be together. And if we have a brief window of time, a brief opportunity where we can do that responsibly and wisely, we're going to take full advantage of it. Now, of course, the middle criteria, the request of civil authorities, that has not changed. And we acknowledge that. But our thinking behind our change of plans to meet in person for the 20th, 24th, and 27th basically comes down to this. Number one, we were never in a situation where the civil authorities were twisting our arms or were legally binding us to not meet. We chose to do that for these past 4 weeks because we wanted to voluntarily respect the civil authorities. We thought their requests were reasonable. We thought their requests were put down in good faith. So we had no problem going along with that for 4 weeks. But we feel like we've done our part for these past 4 weeks. We feel like we did our part back in the spring, being closed for 11 Sundays to help slow down the spread of COVID-19. And we feel like we did our part again for these past 4 weeks to help slow that spread. Now, again, we still respect civil authorities. We want to work with civil authorities in the efforts to slow the spread of the virus and think about the common good of our community and our state. But we do feel like we're at a point where we can gather again together in person in the sanctuary in good conscience, knowing that we do respect the civil authorities. We do take their requests seriously, but we feel like we're in a place now where we can serve our congregation well and serve our community well and still gather in person here in the church. So, numbers are looking better. We recognize that our virtual ministry, while capable of some things, is not truly capable of replacing the Sunday morning gathering together in the building. And we do respect civil authorities, but we think that we're at a point where we can gather safely in good conscience, even with their requests in mind. So that's kind of some of the rationale behind how we came to this decision about the 20th and 24th and 27th. A couple of disclaimers to mention too. Number one, and we've kind of said this periodically over the year 2020, ever since March, if you come here on the 20th and the 24th and the 27th, please know that you are taking on some level of risk. Of course, we're going to enact all the precautions that we need to have. We're going to be socially distanced. We're going to be masked. We're going to have hand sanitizer. We're not going to be gathering in small places. When the service is over, we're going to leave the building rather than mingling and spreading germs. Even with all those precautions in place, we cannot guarantee that no one is ever going to get sick again at Prairie View. So just be aware that if you come here these next 3 services, there is some risk, and we want you to take that seriously. We want you to think about that and pray about that and consider that before you come here. For those who determine that they are not comfortable taking that risk, we completely understand, and that's why we will continue live streaming for these next few services. But keep that in mind before you make a decision to worship here on the 20th, 24th, or 27th. On top of that, we certainly would encourage you to take precautions seriously in your own personal life. Please do the things that you need to be doing. Do the things that you ought to be doing at your work, at your home, in your neighborhood, wherever it is that you go, so that you can come here safely and not get your brothers and sisters in Christ sick. So consider the risk. Take the precautions seriously in your own life before you come here to the church. And then finally, we need you to abide by the precautions. Over these past 9 months of navigating this, our church has done really, really well with following the rules. We've done a really great job of taking things seriously, and we're proud of the members of our church for doing that, but that needs to continue. We know vaccines are coming. We know everybody's excited about the potential light at the end of the tunnel, but we are not through the woods yet. So if we're going to do this, if we're going to meet on the 20th and the 24th and the 27th, we've got to keep taking things seriously. We've got to keep taking precautions. And so if you're not into that, if that's not something you want to do on Christmas Eve or you feel capable of doing on Christmas Eve and you're just burnt out of the whole thing, that's your business. But if you're here, you're going to follow the precautions. You're going to follow the rules to keep yourself safe and keep your brothers and sisters in Christ safe. So that's basically where we are. We have a brief window of time, 20th, 24th, and 27th, where based on all the evidence that we're seeing, we think we can worship in person safely. Now, as far as the future goes, when January rolls around, we don't know what's going to happen. There is certainly reason to believe that our brief window of relatively decent numbers and a better-looking situation could come to an end after Christmas. People could gather for Christmas, and numbers could spike again, and we will cross that bridge when we get there. We're still going to take it 2 weeks at a time once we get past the 27th. So there are no guarantees for January or February or March. There are no guarantees for 2021. But what we can tell you is that for the next 2 Sundays and for Christmas Eve, we are going to have in-person services. So we need you to RSVP, especially for this coming Sunday morning. We're going to have a bunch of RSVPs hopefully pouring in today and tomorrow through the website. We need you to RSVP for the 24th if you haven't yet, and we also need you to RSVP for the 27th when that time comes. And while this is still not ideal, while we would love to have a perfectly normal Christmas Eve service, and we would love to not be wearing masks on Sunday mornings, and we would love to not be not meeting for 4 weeks, and then meeting for 2 weeks, and then maybe not meeting again in the month of January, while none of this is ideal, let's thank God for the fact that we can plausibly meet together for these next 2 Sundays and meet together on Christmas Eve. So that's the plan. If you have any thoughts or questions, feel free to reach out to me or one of the elders. Again, it feels good to say this. We hope to see you this Sunday, the 20th, at Prairie View. We hope to see you on the 24th. We hope to see you on the 27th. And for those who are not here those days, we encourage you to continue live streaming the way you have been. So, with that, I hope that's good news. I hope you view it as a little bit of a Christmas miracle and a little bit of a Christmas gift just a week before Christmas. We're certainly happy about it. We hope you're happy about it as well. And we look forward to worshiping with some of you, at least, these next 2 Sundays and on Christmas Eve. So again, if you have questions, let us know. We'd be happy to talk to you more and answer those questions. Thanks. Have a great weekend, and we hope to see you Sunday. Take care.